I want to know, did your grandfather, John G. Hood, have a farm in Dacula?
Well, it was a small farm, but that's what he did for a living, and stay busy, and he always stayed busy, that's for sure.
And describe for us his home in Dacula. Tell us about that.
Well, it was a two-story house with limited closet space, no inside bathroom in the beginning, and a big porch on the front and on the side, and a big porch on the back. But all the bedrooms, except for him and Grandmother Hood, all the bedrooms were upstairs. And the so-called girls stayed on one side in the bedroom and the boys stayed on the other.
And how did you get water in the home?
Oh, I had a well.
Was it there close to the back porch? Was it
on the back porch, yeah.
Okay.
Well, we farmed all the time, and when we got out of school, we went home and changed clothes. You didn't wear the same clothes that you wore to school, because back in them days, you allowed to wear a fertilizer sack shirt, something like that, you know. But we farmed, and I was the oldest boy in the family, and me and my dad, we done the plowing, and all the rest of them done the hoeing.
All right. So your main job was plowing then?
That's right. That's right.
And you grew primarily cotton?
Cotton and corn. Well, we growed everything just about it. Wheat. My daddy was a wheat cradler, cut his own wheat.
So you were a merchant here in town, and typically I know you extended credit to your customers.
That's
too,
right.
Even up until about the time you stopped, I suppose.
Right. Yeah, as long as I was in business, I'd done the credit work. Of course, most of my customers, they was good people. They'd do what they said. They'd pay, you know. But occasionally you'd have somebody that run into bad luck and didn't have no money. They couldn't pay, you know. Of course, you just forget about them people. And a lot of times, maybe a year later or 2 years later, they'd come by and pay you. They was that kind of people. They were those good, honest people back in them days.
This is the corner of the store that my father ran, and I guess he operated it for 15 years or longer. I'm not too sure about the length of time, but that's about all I know of Dacula. Came from this corner and the association I had with all of the different people that I knew at that time and loved to admire and respect. We were more like a little bitty, I guess you'd say, a Walmart. We've seen a lot of changes. There was an old chicken coop back here that Daddy would take in the chickens and the butter and the eggs and everything from the farmers who'd bring it in and try to swap it out for their staple goods and things that they needed. My dad, he started giving tickets to anyone that traded with him to buy. When they'd buy so much, he would give them a ticket for so. And then on a Saturday, he would be giving away a radio, and the radio would be the major need that a lot of people really would want to use at that time, because electricity did get out into the country more so. And on Saturday afternoons out in the front, you'd see maybe 100 people out there waiting for that number to be drawn to see if they were going to get the radio. And that was a real big time for people coming into Dacula and enjoying the afternoon. This doesn't look at all like it did many, many years ago.
I'm sure it didn't. Just to keep us in the time frame, would you tell us what year you were born?
1925.
1925, and your dad owned this store and ran it in the years between about what years?
35 or somewhere in that neighborhood until about 41 or 42.
My mother raised 15 children.
15 children?
She had 3 sets of twins.
3 sets of twins?
And 11 boys, and there's 15 in all.
11 boys, and there were 15 in all. So there were 4 girls, 4 sisters. And you were born, what year were you born?
1926.
Your big iron wash pot, you started the fire around it.
Yeah, and put the clothes
in it, and then
and put some
stir
little
them
lye
around a
soap in
little.
there.
Lye soap.
And
Okay.
let them ball, and they be good. And then if they like to be real dirty, you have a round wood block like this, and you take an oxygen soap and rub it on there like that, and then you take a axe handle and beat it like that and turn it over and over, and that gets all the dirt out and you put it in the pot. In the pot.
All right. Okay. Well, and then hang them up and let them air dry.
Yeah, on the line.
On the line,
On a
air
long
dry.
line.
Right.
Use pegs. Use wood
Yeah.
pegs.
Right.
That's what you use, wood pegs.
There
There wasn't any running water. You had to draw water and carry it in the house. And in the wintertime, I have noticed it. You know what I mean? You could see it, live in the house, and you don't see the ground. You don't see the ground on there. And people used to take and clean the house with these, get a block like that, wood block. You don't know nothing about that. A wood block, and you both holes in them like that. I believe you 6 shovels, you know, corn shovels. And you put them on water, push them like that, and pull them up through there like that, and you would go in the house and put a hand and you scrub the floor. It make the floor and spread your little sand, little sand on the floor, and it make your house, good, and just scrub the floor, cause see, you didn't have a rug.
Didn't have any rugs, and in many cases the floorboards didn't come together. You could see through the floor.
Yeah. And they had these fireplaces in the houses too, you know what I mean? And you have wood logs go across like that, and where people used to iron, you set your black iron down in front of them, let them get hot, real hot, and then you get ready and you use to clean them off with paper, and before you went and get your clothes muddy, and you use towel and make your iron slick. And rubbed on this paper and shine and you do your iron. That's what you did all your iron.
Yeah, it didn't have an electric iron. You had to heat it up with a fireplace or...
And those things iron, steel iron good now.
I bet they do.
So sometimes I take and put mine on the heater. And I don't got that twist. But I enjoy it. Because they press is good.
Yeah.
They press is real good.
Yeah. I've got a set of them I use for bookends at home.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you'd want to iron with them. They sort of rusty on the bottom now. I said mine are sort of rusty on the bottom.
Yeah, but that could be cleaned up though. And then you see you cooked on the wood stove, and then you would have a hard time because you had to bring that stove wood in for go with that, and you had to dry it before you could cook. Before you could cook with it. You know, it should be so cold in the wintertime. You could bring your water in the house and your bucket, and your dipper would freeze in that water.
In the house?
It'd be that cold, and it'd be that cold now. It was freeze, and you had to sit there in front of the heater before you could get water. Paint like the paint house, and you call this white mud. You don't know about it. But with white mud, a red bank, in the bank, you get that out and get it in and put it in a tub, and it'd be real white. And you get you a rag like that and this white inside.
Whitewash the...
Whitewash your mountain and everything.
Yeah, sort of like a kale in white-looking kale.
It would be pretty. About my slick.
Yeah.
Be slick.
Because you'd make it white.
It's good.
Granddaddy could always pick the coldest day to kill hogs. Of course, that's what you wanted.
Yeah,
you didn't want your
that
meat
was the
to
best
spoil.
time. And we was there. Sometimes we used to kill right around 10, 20 hogs a day. For different people.
Yeah.
The bailies lived on yonder. They always bring it and we clean them. We always stay down on the branch all day long. Night would be night when you go to the house.
What'd you do with the parts that weren't saved? Did you burn those? The parts of the hog that you didn't want, did you burn those, or how did you get rid of them?
The part like when it wasn't much to do away with, just the guts and things inside. And dogs got them. You throw them out in the woods. You didn't have nothing to clean up and like the feet and things. When you cut that off, the toe. That's the only thing you have to throw away.
Pretty good, pretty useful animal, old pig.
Yeah, that's
is,
right.
Isn't it? That's right.
And that old tenderloin. Somebody don't tenderloin, that hot biscuit with it.
So it was really difficult. Just family living was difficult.
But it was good. It was good though. Yeah.
Made good biscuits on those wood stoves, didn't he? My grandmother cooked.
Don't say nothing about it. And good old potato pie, custard, apple pie. And you dried your own fruit. You dried your own fruit. You know something about that.
I know something about that.
You dried your own apples and peaches and stuff like that, and then you can. You can. So.
Describe for us how you would go about drying apples.
Oh yeah, I'm good. Well, I tell you what, when I get ready to dry, I always get a big old But you know, if I got the food, and I always put water on them and wash them first. And then I get my knife, and then I peel them. And after I peel them, I just slice them real good. And then I got a thing right here. Then you get it out then and put it in a glass jar. I think I got some now. I think that's right.
All right, let's see
Oh,
what
if we
you
get
got
a
in there.
sample, that'd be really good.
See the dog Tony?
Oh, look
Yeah,
at
let's
that.
see that. Let's
See,
bring
they
that
don't
out
come.
here.
And
Now
you-
here's the finished product, right? This is
something
dried
else.
apples right here.
Yeah. And see,
That's
that's as good as ever. You take and wash them and put them, you know, and ball them, and they come back so tender. They come back so tender.
Right.
I know.
know,
Let me taste one.
I know.
Oh, you don't have to open it. Oh,
Yeah,
well.
it won't.
Well, since you did, I'll try.
She's going to
Can I
eat
just?
one.
Can I eat one?
Yeah,
of these?
yeah.
Oh yeah, it smells
They
just
make good.
good.
They
don't
make good. I make
I
fried
just
pies.
love
You
dried
make
apples.
fried
I like
pies.
just eating them.
I do
Yeah.
too.
I love make fried pies. Fried
You know, when my grandmother died, she lived over in Dacula.
Yeah,
and
she
I-
had stuff like that.
Yeah, and she had. I was
Ain't
cleaning
good.
out her
That's
cabinets.
very good.
And I'm sure y'all did this too, but she had a
You want
quart-
this, y'all?
Oh, I hate to take that from you. It's
No, I
too
got
much
plenty.
work.
I'll get to you.
I'll have to bring you the pie then.
No, you know you won't. 'Cause I
I'll
make
make you a
pie. You
pie
don't
and
bring me
bring
no
it.
pie. You don't make no pie. No, you just take it with you.
But preserving without refrigeration and freezing was done generally by drying like
Yeah,
this.
and you know you can make apple preserves
Right,
and peach preserves and apple jelly.
right.
I make
Put a lot
all
of
stuff
sugar
like
in
that.
them and they won't spoil. That's right.
No, no. Yeah, I like working out in the garden too.
All right, you like working in
Oh,
the garden.
yeah. Me and my mother used to have a garden.
Yeah. Raised everything you
Yeah,
ate,
raised
just
it.
about.
Oh, I used to love to get out. Get out in there, raising cabbages, squashes, you know, different things, cucumbers.
Did you have a big garden that you made extra and sold from, or was it just for your family?
We didn't sell. We just cooked and canned. We canned a lot.
We had 14 other brothers and sisters and mom and daddy and kin folks. You took a lot to
Yeah,
eat,
it
didn't
did.
Yeah, it did. It took a lot to eat.
And I had one brother. All of us wasn't at home the same time. You know, at the grove. You know what I mean. And it was when it come down to be the last when it come down to be, it was my baby brother and me, and then my two sisters. Them the only things at home for a while, and they worked in Gainesville for a doctor, Dr. J.N. Miller. Cause they were singer then, but that's where they got married when they went to Gainesville. And then that's left me at home with my dad and mama, and I was the only one.
Only one for up until the time they passed away. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
I kept my mother.
All right.
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
always took care of my mother.
These pictures in front show the generations, the 4 generations, and I will be the 5th that have been in Dacula. And we are in a house that's very special to us. This house was built in 1905, the same year that Dacula became a city, 100 years ago. And this house was built by my great-grandfather, Dr. Will Hinton.
These are 4-generation pictures that she mentioned on both the Hinton side, which is my father's side, the Wilson side, which is my mother's side. I was born, about 300 yards from here, in a house that we now call, they called it then Beulah Hall. This house was built by my great-grandfather, Dr. Samuel Freeman, who lived across the street here where the Exxon station is now, in a 2-story house. He was a local doctor, and he brought in other men to train as doctors. And this house, those that might be familiar with it, down on Finch Road, is a long front porch with 4 doors opening out. So these were the place where the people that were trained to be a doctor would stay. And then I understand at some points they probably brought some sick people that needed a place to stay.
Your grandmother would sell slabs. Can you tell us a little bit about the sawmill that was on the property and what that was about?
Well, actually, there are 2 sawmills. There was one that was down where Hebron Forest is now. And then there was one later up here behind the post office, basically. And so she would sell slabs, and she
With the
would
bark on it.
with the bark on it. And people would come by and they would pay her for the slabs. And she had a little jar she kept the money in. Now I just have the honor of having a check here. This check, I know you can't read it on the film, but it was dated 1943, November 17th, was made out to Mrs. Callie Wilson, who's my grandmother, and it was for 1 load of slabs, signed by O.J. Farr, who was the treasurer of Dacula High School at that time. Back about 12 or 15 years ago, a close friend of mine that some people will know, Ray Gunning, and myself formed a corporation. And the name we gave it, we were going to develop some homes or lots in Dacula. And so we were trying to think of a name, and we said we're going to call it DAC, D-A-C. The first 3 letters of Dacula became the name of our corporation. And we still have it, it's still active, but we have developed about 6 or 7 of the subdivisions now in the city limits of Dacula, several hundred homes.
My great-grandfather he served in the Confederate Army, and he was commissioner of the roads in Gwinnett County.
Where in Dacula was your grandparents' home place?
On Dacula Road, right next to the Gwinnett Parks and Recreation Department. We sold it to them, and it's part of that now. And it was always cool there. We sat on the porch, visited every Sunday, and it was cool, just like it was air conditioned.
And you lived here from about, what, 1928 you told me?
Yeah, to 1940. The people lived in the city could get on the WPA, and we lived on the farm couldn't because we had jobs, see? Mm-hmm. So they would make this big money, maybe $15 a month, and that's as much as we made a year. And it sure made us feel bad, us people living on the farm, because it was tough living on the farm. I had 6 girls, and my father said he's going to fill the woods full of children until he got some boys. So he proceeded, and he finally got 3 boys and 7 girls. And all the girls got married off, and all the boys got married off, and I was here by myself, just mom and daddy, and they were disabled about 1934.
Of course, you probably didn't have inside plumbing in this house while you were here.
No, we didn't have inside plumbing. We had an outhouse, they call them 2-seaters, and Sears and Roebuck catalog, and that was the outhouse. They had electricity in the community, but it didn't come in here. I think it's after 1938 or 39 it might have come in here, but it didn't have it before then. Of course, we had a lot of oil lamps, and you'd light them up and do your homework.
by the light of the lamp.
Yeah.
All right.
Everybody was poor back then, and nobody didn't realize how poor we were because everybody was poor.
Everybody was poor.
As a matter of fact, I told them the richest man in my class was a guy that brought loaf bread sandwiches. They called it light bread back then. And so he had light bread, and the rest of us had biscuits, and we all looked up to him because we thought he was a rich guy.
had bought bread instead of made bread, right? And you were born in 1920, you told me.
Yeah, 1920.
And you were the what?
The youngest of the 10. Freeman gave my grandmother the land and kept them up. Grandfather had died, and so she had a house full of children and no way making a living, and he kept her up. Dad lived on the farm most of the time. He did some other work. He was a carpenter, and he had a dairy, and he kind of a little bit of veterinarian after he got out of the dairy business. He knew how to handle cows and mules and things, and he did quite a bit of doctoring. He never did charge anybody anything, and he could do most anything a cow need to be doing. And my dad was probably the honestest man I ever knew in my life. He'd tell you something, and his word is just as good as anything that you could possibly have, because he said you're only as good as your word. And I respected my father a great deal because he was such an honest fellow.
This house, what memories do you have of it?
Well, I remember we had a bedroom here and a bedroom over there, and then a bedroom in the other side, and then we all lived in there by the fireplace. And we also had a bed in there because we had a lot of people sleeping in that house. Say you sleep 20 people, you got it. And then what couldn't sleep in bed was sleep in pallets. But
tell us what a pallet is. Some people won't know what a pallet is.
A pallet's where you put down 2 or 3 quilts on the floor and lay on it, get a pillow, and then take another quilt and sleep on it. But it's not bad to sleep on the pallet. Yeah, I think everybody has an obligation to do what they can for the community and for the city. I tried to be as active as I could in different things. I was planning commissioner for the county for 25.5 years. I served on many different boards within the county. Served on some insurance boards. I presently serve on the superintendent's council. And I think everybody ought to do as much for the community as they can and serve wherever they can.
I built this house here in 1954, and there was dirt streets all around it. The Harbins Road in front of the house was dirt, and dust was real bad. And it was one of the few new houses being built back then. Well, when I was coming up, we first didn't have any electricity in this part of the country. It come here in 1929, and we was one of the first houses that was wired for lights. There wasn't much finances available for clothes and things like that. So I had an aunt, and my uncle was a doctor. He had one daughter, and she was older than my oldest sister, so she handed her clothes down. Well, my oldest sister would outwear them. Then it was handed down to my youngest sister, and when she would outgrow them, my mother would tear the dresses apart and make me shirts. And I had pretty little flowery shirts when I was a little boy, and I never didn't think nothing about it till one day my aunt was down at my grandmother's and I was there. She said, "Come here and let me see your shirt." And I went over to her. She said, "Oh, how pretty, you look just like a little girl." And that ruined me from wearing flowery shirts. But my mother did make towels, pillowcases, and sheets from bleached fertilizer bags. And for a while they'd scratch when you go to bed on them till they get washed a good many times. I was at work, and my boss came out and says, "You better get home." I said, "What's the matter?" He said, the dynamite truck exploded and just wiped Dacula off the map. And said, "You better see if you can get in touch with your family." And I immediately called home, and I got my family. You see the upper corner of that mirror over the mantel, glass is cracked. That's caused from that explosion.